You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Days of Our Lives fans, you would think Melinda Trask would have learned her lesson about scheming up sketchy adoption plans that can bite her in the backside, but she hasn't. It's Melinda from Soap Dirt, and we're going to dive into the fallout coming Melinda's way that could even include some time behind bars at Statesville Prison. It's going to get messy, so hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into it. You can already tell it's only a matter of time before Tate and Brady Black figure out what Melinda Trask and Sophia Choi did to cover up the birth of little Tesoro. Former DA Melinda could face disbarment and also prison time when she is caught, and we know she's going to be. You got to give Melinda kudos for being such a legal eagle, or illegal eagle, but her bad adoption schemes could finally get her in deep water if Brady and Tate figure out how she helps Sophia pull off a rogue adoption scheme. And in case you don't remember, this isn't the first illegal adoption deal cooked up by Melinda Trask. Remember when she and Eric Brady's ex, Sloan Petersen, set up an adoption scheme involving Nicole Walker's baby? Sloan had gotten pregnant by Eric. And if you recall, Nicole was also pregnant by him because of the drugged biscuit incident. However, Sloan miscarried pretty early on, and then she found out she had an autoimmune disorder and she couldn't get pregnant again. So Sloan was devastated and she was worried she'd lose Eric. Meanwhile, Nicole gave birth on the side of the road with Leo Stark's help to the baby she thought was hers and EJ's. And Dimitri von Leuschner was there, Leo's secret lover, and he took the newborn over to University Hospital. But then Dimitri saw the cops there and he panicked and he ran over to Sloan's apartment with the newborn baby. Dimitri was wanted by the cops and he and Leo were making a run for it. And Sloan was Dimitri's lawyer, so that's why he ran to her. And then Melinda saw a huge opportunity with that cute little baby. So she and Sloan cooked up a scheme to say that Melinda found a baby for Eric and Sloan to adopt in a private, closed adoption. And there was this dirty doctor at the hospital who was another client of Sloan's. He helped them sell the scheme to keep baby Jude. He signed off on the death certificate of Nicole's baby and then said the baby was cremated on accident. So they covered the trail by saying Nicole's baby dead, and then this random baby came into Sloan's life. And of course, she knew if Eric found out that little Jude was his bio kid, then Eric would dump her. And so they let poor Nicole think her son died in the hospital, and a paperwork error led him to be cremated before she could even hold him in her arms or see him again. It was truly awful. Melinda and Sloan rationalized what they were doing because Eric was actually raising his own son. But eventually, EJ found out that Sloan was raising Nicole and Eric's son, and the kid wasn't his. And of course, EJ used all that to his advantage. The plan worked for quite a while, but Nicole kept having these strong feelings that Sloan's adopted kid was hers, even though they rigged some DNA tests to dash her hopes. And eventually, Sloan and Melinda's scheme wound up blown wide open. Eric dumped Sloan, and he and Nicole took off for Paris with Jude, and she divorced EJ. In the end, Melinda got really, really lucky. Despite people knowing what she did, Melinda was still able to practice law. She should have been shipped off to prison and lost her law license, but EJ was DA at the time, and he knew about the baby swap, and he helped cover it up. So he couldn't prosecute Melinda without implicating himself. And then she also had leverage over Rafe because of Gabby being in prison. So Melinda barely escaped prosecution and her life being ruined, but she did. And, you know, Brady knows what she did to his brother, and that's why he really hates her. And now, insanely, Melinda's at it again. She's playing sneaky adoption games with Sophia. In both cases, Melinda felt sorry for the person that she helped. Back then, it was Sloan. and now it's Sophia. And Melinda's all tangled up because of her adoption issues with her daughter, Haley. If you recall, Melinda got pregnant as a teen, and her parents forced her to let them raise Haley as her sister, not her daughter, so she could get on with her life. But it is something that Melinda has regretted for a long time. Now, we've seen Melinda's soft side when Sophia came to her before she gave birth and was looking for help with the adoption for her and Tate. But then Brady blew up and he refused to let Melinda be Tate and Sophia's lawyer, specifically because of her stunt with Sloan. And then when Sophia went into labor on her own, gave birth, and dropped little Tesoro at the fire station, instead of asking her parents for help or Tate for help, Sophia called on Melinda. And she's the one who got Sophia checked out to make sure she was healthy after giving birth. She got her the fake prego belly to wear for a few weeks. And then they waited till Tate was headed to Senior Lake Week with Holly. And with him out of the way, Melinda took Sophia to Chicago to implement the final part of the plan. Melinda had Sophia sending fake texts and voicemails to Tate telling him she was in labor and then that she gave birth. And then she and Melinda came back to Salem, and Sophia said she had a baby girl that was taken home from the hospital by an adoptive couple. Tate was devastated to find out Sophia gave the baby away in Chicago. And because of Tate, we have seen Sophia being eaten up by guilt. She told Sarah the truth because Sarah confronted Sophia. She knew the baby she was carrying was a boy because of the medical scans. And Sarah has to sit on the truth. But Tate wants the adoptive parent's address. He wants to write a letter. He wants to visit. Sneaky Melinda's on top of it. She set up a post office box in Chicago so Tate can send a letter there. And Melinda is going to answer and pretend to be the fake adoptive parents and tell Tate, no, you can't see the baby. So the problem is Sophia wants to tell Tate the truth because she's eaten up by guilt. But Melinda keeps telling Sophia, zip it, because they will both be in a lot of trouble. I do think Tate deserves to know the whole story. And I got a little misty-eyed this week when Leo handed Tesoro to Tate to hold. And, you know, that's Tate's son that he was actually holding. So it was painfully sad. And Sophia needs to come clean about what happens. And Tate deserves the chance to get to know his son. But in the end, the question is, will Melinda pay for what she's done with another dirty adoption scheme? I mean, I understand her actions, but they're bad. So Brady Black may push for Melinda to be arrested. He hates Melinda already. And the DA right now is Belle Black, who would absolutely take Melinda down because of how upset she's made Tate and Brady. And Sophia's mom, Amy Choi, may demand that Melinda be disbarred because, you know, she's going to want the lawyer to pay for helping sneak away with her grandchild. So what do you think? Do you want to see Melinda punished, or do you want to see her get away with it?
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.